Once again, it's time for the Team Lift podcast with your hosts, Brandon Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Let's go ahead and get right into the show.
Thoughts and feelings expressed here are our own and do not represent Electronic Arts as a whole or any other company.
All right, man, we got a lot to discuss today.
Yeah.
But before we get into it, I'm just going to apologize to anybody that hears this episode because I'm tired as fuck. I am so exhausted right now.
Yeah.
First of all,
we're suffering for our art.
Yeah, we're suffering. We're just going to say, look, I don't think it's a secret since we did the show and had the guys from DICE on here for Battlefield 1, it's no secret that we work for EA.
Yeah.
We're in the midst of our launch season, okay? We are getting our asses handed to us. It is launch season.
Yeah.
Everybody and their uncle is calling. And so now, at this time, so it's officially 11:21 p.m., October 20th, right now.
Right now.
Which means 21 minutes ago, Battlefield 1 just went live for North America.
Really, it's already live.
Everybody that didn't have the deluxe early enlisters edition.
No, you don't even have to have deluxe. You can literally buy standard and buy an early enlister upgrade and get into early enlister.
Yeah, you could.
So for anybody who didn't give a fuck about getting in 3 or 4 days early, now they're in.
Everybody in the rest of the world is in. They're in. It's official.
There was like a little trickle into the bucket, and now just they're fucking splashing the whole ocean on it.
Yeah, everybody's in, and I am exhausted. So we know that's going on, man. But it was a big day. I mean, let's face it. Counting that it was the eve of probably one of the biggest shooters of this holiday season, Battlefield 1 it's going to sell. Okay,
yeah, it's going to crush it.
Yeah. Don't think there's going to be a problem with them crushing it. And there's no bias when I say that as an EA employee. I'm just saying, as a video game fan, it's my shooter of choice.
Yeah.
Okay? And it's going to crush it. But the thing is, I'm exhausted, man. And so here it is, 11:20 at night, and we have to be back at work. Well, I have to be back at work in the morning, and I'm exhausted. And we're still up doing this episode because why? We love the chuckleheads that join us every week on this show, and we want to talk to them. So, the big news today is Nintendo had this little presser.
They did a little announcement today.
Just a small announcement
a tiny,
about this thing they've been keeping secret called the NX for the last year. They haven't
been doing too good at keeping a secret, really.
Yeah, they really did a terrible job at keeping it a secret, but we finally got to see it. The Switch, the Nintendo Switch is the name of it. And it's part handheld. It's part NVIDIA Shield.
It's part, it is an NVIDIA Shield tablet with a docking station that connects to your television.
With an HDMI out, yeah.
And dedicated controllers that can attach to, so you have like a little handheld thing that the controllers can attach to. That gives, I'm assuming, more battery life, makes the controls a little bit wider, kind of gives you that like Nintendo Pro controller feel.
Yeah.
And then you can detach them from there, and you can slide them onto the sides of the screen, and then pick up the screen, the tablet, out of the docking station and just walk off and keep playing the same game you were playing on your TV. Yeah.
No, it looked sharp. And then there was, like, if you've seen the video, and I'm sure by now most of you have, and I think we'll even have it on our Team Lift page, it was really cool. I mean, it ran some pretty nice software. Looked like we saw some Elder Scroll remastered in there.
Yeah.
Saw that new Zelda that they've been showing us for a while, the high-def Zelda. That looks amazing every time I see it. It looked like there was even a dedicated controller. There's the traditional black controller that I saw.
That was essentially the Nintendo Pro controller. Like, you can go out and buy that controller now. It just doesn't have the Switch branding on it.
Okay, so here's what I want to know. Now, if that's the Nintendo, that's a wireless controller, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's what that was. So it means that we'll be able to use the Nintendo Pro controller.
Yeah, I'm assuming like they're not going to want to alienate their existing ownership of like items for the Wii U.
Right.
So if you own a Pro controller, I'm going to assume you can probably use it with this.
Although,
so this whole thing is being made by NVIDIA, like all of it.
Right.
Like, from the ground up, the SoC is going to be the NVIDIA Tegra SoC. It's probably, I'm going to call it the X2 because the X1 is what's in the Shield, and that's their most powerful to date. The X2, we're assuming, at least I'm going to assume, it's probably an A8 or an A10 style processor combined with either 512 or 124 Pascal-based CUDA cores. So it's going to be essentially a small form factor tablet with NVIDIA guts in it and probably a lot of NVIDIA software. Like if you read their press announcement that they put up today, they created a whole bunch of low-level APIs. So essentially, I don't think that it's going to be running Android like I initially thought it was going to. I think it's going to be running a custom operating system,
Right.
where they're going to be able to directly interface with the hardware rather than having to go through a high-level API like the Android OS to get to everything.
Okay.
They created something that's called NVN, but they didn't really explain what that was. They were just like, we created a whole bunch of stuff like NVN and this and that and the other. But I think on the controller front, if they want to do it right, they would use NVIDIA's controller scheme that they've come up with, which is using direct Wi-Fi to connect to the device to lower latency between you pressing a key on the actual controller and it having an action in the game.
Right.
So if they go with that, then there's a possibility that your existing like Wii U stuff will just be completely useless because it's using lesser technology. It's probably just using some sort of Bluetooth standard.
Right.
But I mean, hopefully they don't do that. Just so that, you know, if you have some Pro controllers laying around, you'll be able to just hook them up and use them.
Right. Oh well, I mean that's true. There's some stuff now. I was doing some digging after this came out because, I mean, it was interesting. I mean, we pretty much knew, you and I had the discussion, was it a guaranteed purchase for me?
Yeah.
And I was like, based on my family, I think I told you, yeah. I mean, they would have to screw it up really bad for me not to buy it.
Yeah.
But the more I thought about that, I said, it is, okay, every Nintendo system I've owned, whether it was a GameCube, N64, or Wii, it's been because I'm a father. You know, basically, I always had 3 or 4 girls in the house.
Yeah.
At any time. So the girls, we owned everything. My girls were video game players. They were console players. So we've had the PS2, the PS1, the GameCube.
Everything.
We owned it all. There's not a console we haven't owned. And so, but the Nintendo is really near and dear to the heart of my family.
Yeah.
My daughters love Nintendo. I was a Nintendo fan. You know, at one point, bought one girl a DS Lite, and we all loved her so much that we all ended up with DS Lites. So it's one of those kind of games where you kind of, I'm drawn to this system.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of what I saw, but there were some things about, you know, I'm 45 now. I'm not really big on Nintendo's whole, well, we don't like a lot of M-rated titles. And
Well, let's talk about that because if you look at the list of developers that they have behind it,
that was where we were going with this.
Like, we're actually supporting it. Like EA is supporting this. So that means that like Battlefield's going to be on the Nintendo.
That's a possibility.
That
We
like,
definitely
from
know they're going to come with a FIFA.
Activision's on there, which means that Activision games are going to be there. So that's going to be like Overwatch, Hearthstone, fucking, you know, everything that they've got, Call of Duty. And then you think about us, we've got Mirror's Edge, you've got Battlefield, you have Mass Effect. Like, how many could we go through and do remasters on things and re-release them on the Nintendo console that we haven't released on there since, you know, we basically dumped the Wii and the Wii U back in the day?
But that's our thing, man. We've heard EA come out and say, hey, we're not really big on this whole idea of remastering.
Yeah.
We'd rather move forward than remaster. And to EA's credit, hey, yeah, you said that, but everybody else and their freaking uncle is remastering every game and jumping on the money train. EA really, for the most part, has kept true to their word. You don't see any remasters. It's not like we're coming out and going, Mirror's Edge, Part 1, remastered. I thought that would have been a great idea. We didn't do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm at that point where I don't know if they will, but there's definitely a freaking market there because there's a bunch of people. Here's my thing. I more than 100% expect to see FIFA on this console. I expect to see some version of FIFA on this console.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it. But the thing that got me, you know how I'm a big JRPG fan. So when I looked at the list of people who were supporting it, of the Switch partners, let me throw a couple of names at you. Atlas, Arc Systems, who gave us, the X-Blaze and all those games, Square Enix, Spike Chunsoft, Level 5, Marvelous, Tecmo Koei. So that's your Dynasty Warrior games. Here's what got me. This one was the one From Software.
Yeah, From Software, Bethesda Softworks. Like From Software, they make all of the
Dark Souls
games.
and Demon Souls. They did all that business, and that one got me because when I saw them, I was like, okay, all bets are off. What are they bringing?
Here's what I think happened. I think Ottawa died, and then after that, Nintendo was free. Nintendo could do or decide to do what they could do to make money, which was to try to entice the people who they haven't been attempting to entice before, the 18 to 35 crowd.
Yeah, because they really they only got 35s with kids.
Yeah. So, I mean, not that I'm glad that he's dead or anything, but I'm glad that Nintendo is finally in a position to move forward as a company and to attempt to go back to the market that they essentially created and appeal to everybody and not just to like the 1 to 18 and the extremely elderly, like the 40 plus to like 60 plus market that wants to dance around in the living room and play Wii tennis.
Yeah, no, I mean, hey, bro, they suck
Animal
people in with
Crossing.
that. Yeah, they had it. I'm a huge Animal Crossing fan, and there's a bunch of us at work. You saw that this week.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where you look at this system and you go, man, there's going to be a lot of good stuff. But I was just noticing who they partnered with. There's a lot, and plus, one of my favorite, when I saw Grasshopper Manufacturer show up, okay, first of all, I love No More Heroes on the Wii. That was one of my favorite games. And Suda51, I love a lot of his little weird, quirky games. So it was neat to see that was one of the partners. So I'm excited about that.
I think a lot of this collaboration and a lot of the reason why all these companies are jumping on board is specifically because NVIDIA is involved. Because NVIDIA doesn't fuck around.
That is very, very true. And I liked, to me, the idea of a system that I could actually, I love handhelds. Let's face it. My phone is full of games. I bought a 128 gig phone so I could put more games on it. I have a Vita. I have a 2DS. So I started thinking about this. During the trailer, you saw these little cartridges they were putting in there.
Yeah.
Well, I started doing some digging. So listen to this. Now, there's this guy, I guess he's one of the managers that work for GameStop. Saw it at their GameStop Expo, and we know every September, August, they fly everybody either out to Vegas or somewhere for the big managers conference, and all the game manufacturers go out there and entertain and schmooze them, show them stuff, give them a bunch of free stuff. It was one of the greatest holidays of my life when I worked for GameStop, okay? Well, it looks like this was there, and they were all sworn to an NDA. All right. And so nobody could talk until this trailer today. And now I went out on Facebook and it's on several Facebook pages until they start pulling it down. So now here's the thing. I'm going to go through this. This guy said, the NDA is finally lifted. He said he played about 6 different games on the system. I can't say what, but I only saw 3 that I played in the trailer. So I was like, well, 2K, we know was saw in the trailer. Legend of Zelda was in the trailer.
Skyrim.
We saw Skyrim in the trailer.
Splatoon.
Yeah, we saw Splatoon in the trailer.
I don't know what the other games were.
That was the 4 I really noticed.
Yeah.
That's my big 4 I noticed. The portability is great. The detachable controller pieces are very solid and feel nice in the hands. That's cool. It does exactly what it shows in the trailer, which is awesome. It will support third party a lot more than Nintendo consoles have in the past.
Okay, we know that already.
Okay. Then, the system is cartridge-based. It does not play disc. Wii U and Wii games can be downloaded from the eShop. DS and 3DS games will not play on the system as they are slightly smaller. A sleeker 3DS XL is set to be released at launch as a companion device. Now that line got me. What, are you telling me I might be able to use the new 3DS as a controller?
Yeah, sounds like it. Or companion devices in like everybody has their own DS and then everybody connects to the thing, and then certain individuals can, like, say you're playing a card game, you can see your cards on your little screen, but nobody can see your cards on the big screen. So you can do things like, say you're playing Cards Against Humanity, you can see your hand, and when everybody is playing, they all pick their choices. Their choices show up on the TV, and then the person who's doing the deciding at that round can read the shit off the television.
Let me
That kind of.
Let me go one step further. What if they put us a Super Smash?
Yeah, that could do it too.
If we all had a Super Smash and we were fighting with our own, my characters on here, that could get real interesting real quick.
Yeah, I mean, system is really going to take playing games while you take a shit to a new level.
Oh no, yeah, it's on. It's on.
Because I mean, I was already on that level when I had my Shield tablet, but that was kind of difficult because I had to have the tablet and I had to have the controller. And Nintendo's really found a way to solve that problem.
Yeah, no, we're gonna make your tablet part of the controller.
Yeah, and I mean, and that design isn't something that's new either. There's a whole bunch of like knockoff manufacturers who are making like gaming tablets using the NVIDIA SoC and like attaching the controller permanently to the sides of the screen. Even Razer did it back in the day with a full x86 computer that had controllers that snapped onto the side of the tablet, and the tablet was a full Windows machine with an NVIDIA chip in it. So it's not like these ideas are new, but it's new for Nintendo, and I think that's why it's become novel. It's
Right.
because Nintendo's doing it and not somebody else. But yeah, getting all the developers that they've gotten, like they have Bethesda on there, they have Electronic Arts on there, they have Activision on there. Like those are huge fucking publishers. Mm-hmm. Which means that we're gonna get things like Doom and Wolfenstein and Fallout and FIFA and Madden and NHL and Battlefield and Call of Duty and Hearthstone and Overwatch and like a whole myriad of other games that have never seen a Nintendo console light of day in fucking 10 years. Like those publishers haven't published anything on that system for forever.
Last game I remember that went to the Wii U, I think, was FIFA 14, maybe 15.
No, it was older than that.
No, FIFA 14 was there. Oh no, was it 13?
I think it was like 11 or 12, really.
No, bro, I think it was one of the new ones.
When I started was in October of 2013, and at that point we weren't supporting the Wii at all, the Wii or the Wii U. Like we just cut off support entirely.
FIFA 15 was the last Wii U game we did.
Really?
FIFA 15 went to the Wii U and the Wii.
I don't even remember us releasing those.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was so dead. It was basically nothing. It was gutted. It was gutted. It was just gutted. So it was like, hey, here's a game. That's all it basically was. Hope you enjoy playing FIFA because it didn't have a lot of the features of the big boys. So that's interesting, man. Also, let me see what else he told me. Let's see what's on here. Also, he said battery life on the tablet, if fully charged, is expected to last around 6 hours. Okay. Depending on the game you're playing, it does come with an AC adapter. So
yeah,
I guess when it's not in the docking station, you can charge it.
So I don't know if you noticed it, but in the video they showed the top of the system where he was plugging in the headphones.
Yeah.
Right next to the headphone jack, there was actually a place where they had a blower fan blowing air out of it. Mm-hmm. That tells me right there that it's using the X1 or X2 system, because the reason why the NVIDIA Shield television chipset isn't in a tablet is because it would make the tablet too thick and they would have to actually add adequate active cooling to it, because that has active cooling.
Wow.
And so that means that tablet is going to probably be about twice as thick as a regular tablet. So we're saying, like, I don't know, maybe a half an inch.
It looked like it was pretty thick. Yes. That docking station was not slim.
Yeah, the docking station is pretty big. Now, the big question for me is, does the docking system provide external storage and external processing power. Is there an extra NVIDIA SoC in that base station that you connect to when you connect the tablet up to allow you to go into greater resolution and greater frame rate with more extra horsepower, like almost like you're doing SLI? When you have the tablet by itself, you have single card. When you plug it in, you have SLI, so you have two chipsets working in tandem.
Don't know, because here's where he goes with this. He said to view it on the TV, the controller has to be in the port, okay?
Yeah.
But all the guts are in the tablet, minus power supply and HDMI out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now that's where, because you asked me that question earlier, and I kind of thought, it's a damn good question. Now, here's where he gets me. The Nintendo reps were telling me it would launch at around $299 or $399.
I told you $299 when we were at work.
You hit me right at the three. You said $300. You were right. $299.
Because that's what they're selling the NVIDIA Shield tablet with a 500 gigabit drive for. They're selling it for $299 with one controller.
Listen, okay. Now, I'm glad you added that. They kept saying the price was going to be in a state of flux as they finalize specs.
Yeah.
So now if you're telling me, hey, we're in a state of flux while we're trying to finalize the specs, means that it could come with more in it. Maybe there is something down there in that base that's going to beef it up. And if there is something in the base that's going to beef it up and upscale the graphics, then maybe the $400 isn't bad a price. But here's where he gets me. Added info. The console I played had a 100 gig laptop SATA hard drive. They wouldn't give out much info on system built-in storage.
See, I have a feeling that the 100 gigabit drive that they've got in there, that's a stand-in drive for actual finished hardware. The one that you get, the 500 gig drive that you get for the Shield, is an inbuilt laptop drive. It's a 2.25 tiny little 5400 RPM drive. It's not anything special at all.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking a tablet, you're going to have space on the tablet for the operating system and for all the other stuff that you're going to do, your save files and whatnot. If they're doing it cartridge base, and their cartridge base is basically just SD cards, then we're talking each SD card could be tailored to exactly how much space the game needs to run, plus like an extra gigabit or two to save your save games directly onto the cartridge. So that means that they don't really have to have a lot of space on the device if they're using cartridges, unless there's an expansion slot that allows you to add more space in case you want to go the download the games route.
But they're going to have something. Okay, because think about it. If I can download the games from the eShop, they're going to have to give me some backup drive.
Yeah.
It's going to need quite a bit of backup drive. Now, the 3DS right now does have, hey, you can always increase your storage and put it on this extra memory card. But now I got questions like that.
See, like, since they're going cartridge based, that means that the cartridge that they're using has to be SSD or SD based. It's got to be the same kind of SD cards that you put in your phone, that you put in your MP3 player, you put in your regular tablet. Or
Please don't be a proprietary card like Sony always screws us on.
Well, I don't think it's going to be a proprietary card for expansion space, but I think the actual cartridge is going to be proprietary. And I think what they're going to do is they're going to make it so that each game, so say if your game is only 9 gigabit, they'll maybe give you a 12 gigabit card that has the game on it, and then you put that in the system, and then that gives them plenty of extra space to save all of your settings to that, so that they don't have to be saved locally on the device.
Which makes sense. That's how the DS works with like Animal Crossing now. Your cartridge is your save file.
Yeah. And then so if you do something like they did with the NVIDIA Shield, where they give you like, let's say 128 gigabit worth of onboard storage, that's enough for a few games by itself. And then the majority of the ones that you're going to buy, they're assuming that you're going to buy as cartridges, because God knows if a console player can't resell their games, the whole fucking world's going to end. So they're probably banking on the fact that most of your games are going to be cartridge based, so they don't need a lot of internal storage, but they could do it so that you have internal storage in the dock, and then when you connect to the dock when you get home, you have access to all of those games that you've downloaded onto the dock.
Yeah, but what's so weird? Like, the more I guess, but the longer I'm in this business,
Mm-hmm.
like there was always this when the what was it? I had one, the PSP Go, when it came out, and it was all download only, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people said, well, the main reason that failed in America is like it did so well in Europe and overseas because they're more used to the idea of downloads and going digital. They don't have a problem with that. They don't have a problem with it not being physical and a physical copy. And I thought, yeah, that's going to be a hard sell in America. We have, and bro, I'm 45. I can point people out right now, younger than me, where I was telling them, hey, I have a huge digital music library. And they were like, no, I want to have the CD. I actually want to have the physical copy. And I used to think, that's kind of weird, man. But I'm like that when it comes to JRPGs because as a collector, a lot of times they don't do a lot of prints of the games that I'm going to play. So I do like having physical copies of those. It's for no other reason than I'm a collector and I wanted that, But I think we're starting to see a change in America. We're seeing digital sales are pulling big numbers on big games. It's not uncommon for a FIFA or a Battlefield or a Call of Duty to be a digital purchase for most people.
They should be digital purchases. I really wish Microsoft would have stuck to their guns and just said, no, we're not fucking doing physical discs. We're doing everything through the store. Mm-hmm. Because that would have grabbed the industry by the throat and forced it towards that path. And Sony could have done whatever they wanted to. Sony's winning the war so far, but they've really fucked up with the PlayStation Pro. Mm-hmm. Like it's a huge misstep for them to be releasing it this early, and it's a huge misstep for them to be releasing it as low spec as it is. And that's the point at which Microsoft would have started to excel past them. And then if they released the Scorpio and they put a fuckload of hard drive space in it, put like 5 fucking terabits or 4 terabits of hard drive space in that thing and sell it cheap, force the entire hard drive manufacturer market to lower their prices, which drives prices down for the rest of the PC market in general on those bigger drives. Put that in there, make it all digital, and fucking just work the hell out of it. Don't just all digital all the time. Fuck making discs. Fuck filling stupid stores and places. Just make it all digital. You don't need physical media. Like I have not gone to an actual store. Mm-hmm. Like not counting all the times that I've bought a copy of a game from our physical store at our work, because realistically I'm just going over there and buying a key and then putting it into my account. Mm-hmm. I'm talking about like I've actually gone out to a store and bought a game.
Like a Best Buy or a Hastings.
Best Buy or anywhere, like a GameStop. I've been in GameStops and I've been in like Game Over here.
Yeah, I'm a fan of Game Over. Yeah.
The only things that I've done is just gone in there to go look at stuff. I've never actually bought anything. I don't think I bought a physical copy of a game in probably more than 15 years.
See,
like
and
since
here's the
Steam
thing.
came out.
I'll tell you where it pisses me off. And this is a guy, the Vita, could have done this. Mm-hmm. Fucks everyone. Okay, and Sony has a reputation for doing this. Sony is very cocky and says, this is what we're going to do. So they made that little freaking mini SD card in there proprietary. You had to have that Sony card. You can't go buy somebody else's version of this little piece of shit card and put it in your system and think it's going to work, because it's not going to. And so then what happened was, like, if you wanted to get the bigger hard drive space or the memory card for your system, you had to pay hundreds of dollars, and then you had to import the bitch from Japan because you couldn't find them in the U.S. And it was just like, it was such a crock of shit.
Yeah. Well, that's the kind of stuff that the thing that you're talking about right now is exactly the reason why I don't like consoles.
Oh, yeah, no, it was a crock of shit for me on that one. And then it was like, I ended up with a 32 gig card in there, and I ended up catching the card on sale, and I had to pay $50 for that card just to have this thing. Now, I do have quite a, because I have PlayStation Plus, I have quite a large digital library. Just for a console, I have a large digital library. My Vita has digital, my DS has digital, my PS4 has digital, my Xbox One is all digital. I have one physical game on my Xbox One. I have a 1 terabyte. I have one freaking game on disc.
And I was just thinking about this, and I know one of the things that people are going to scream about going all digital is, well, then you don't get the physical collector's edition with all of the stuffs that you get. But all you really have to do at that point is just partner with somebody like Amazon and have it so that when the game is sold, a message is sent over to a physical retailer like Amazon to send out a physical copy of just the stuff, the physical stuff that you want from the collector's edition to your house.
Bro, Limited Run Games is doing that right now. Let me break this down to you. Limited Run Games, who, they do all these one-shots of PS4 games. They'll do 2,000 copies of a PS4 game. Right, and that'll be it. We're going to do these 2,000 copies. You're going to get 1,000 available at 10 a.m. this morning, another 1,000 available at 5 p.m. this evening. And when that 2,000 is gone, we're done. And their games are selling for hundreds of dollars on Amazon and eBay right now. Okay, so here's the beauty of what they're doing. They're doing a Suda51 Classic on PC that was a PlayStation 1 game, and it hadn't been available anywhere outside of Japan. And it's never been available in English.
Yeah.
Limited Run Games is doing that. They're doing 2,000 copies of pre-order for PC, and it's like, oh yeah, we're only doing the collector's edition, and what we're going to do is send you this box with all your collector's edition stuff, and it will have a game disc in there.
Yeah.
But in case you don't want to open this box, it's okay. We're sending you a digital code the same day to your email that you registered this game with, so you don't even have to open this. This can be your collector's edition. But here's your game code to redeem in Steam so you can play the game. And I thought, that's kind of brilliant. That's kind of brilliant.
And this is what's fucked up is we had the infrastructure at work to be able to do that kind of thing. Because for a long time, we were selling physical copies of Xbox and PlayStation games through our store, first party, through Origin. Which means we had the infrastructure, and presumably we probably still do have the infrastructure, to do something like sell a $300 copy of the original Titanfall that had the gigantic statue in it, and then ship out. We'll give you the code instantly. The second that you buy it, you have the code, you can begin playing the game, and then a week or two later you receive the box of all of your magical goodies that came with it that was the collector's edition. Like, I don't even know why that's not a thing across the whole industry.
Can I be honest with you? As a guy that worked in retail, the reason that's not a thing, and it's probably the smartest thing EA's ever done, it's a fucking headache.
Yeah.
When I worked at GameStop and we had those collector's editions, it is one of your biggest nightmares. Because here's the thing, 90% of the time, they don't send me enough collector's editions to take care of returns. What they're planning on is if your statue is broken and you got to bring it back to me, I'm going to have to mail that shit off and get another one sent in.
Yeah.
And then have to contact you when it gets sent in. It's a freaking nightmare. It is, and EA has probably saved themselves thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in shipping cost alone of not having to deal with that crap.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest. From an economic standpoint,
gigantic fucking collector's edition boxes with statues that look like Eddie Murphy in them.
Oh god, yeah, man, dude, I love and I want one of those dudes, man. I do want
Eddie
one.
Murphy statue?
I want the Eddie Murphy statue, man. I was like, that brother looks smooth. That brother looks like he's about to wreck some shit, but he's also gonna take my lady.
If you don't know what we're talking about, if you go and look at the pictures of the statue,
it's the collector's edition for Battlefield 1.
Yeah, collector's edition statue for Battlefield 1. The guy that's on the cover, I think they call him the Harlem Hellfighters.
He's one of the Harlem Hellfighters. It's a black gentleman, and his statue is like Eddie Murphy and Billy D. Williams had this amazing model for them.
Looks like Eddie Murphy in the face.
He really does.
It doesn't look anything like the guy that it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it does not look like the guy on the cover of the game. The statue looks like, you see, this is a young black guy on the cover of the game, Battlefield 1, but there's Eddie Murphy on your damn statue. I'm just like, it's an Eddie Murphy statue.
I'm waiting for the lawsuit at this point because it's got to happen.
You know what's going to be messed up? If Eddie Murphy does try to sue him and then he quotes our show, I actually can say, my life is now full circle. Take me now, Jesus. I am now full circle. I've done what I've come here to do. I initiated a lawsuit against EA with Eddie Murphy because I gave him a crazy idea. So, no, I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'm just looking at this thing because this system looks like it could kick a fair amount of ass, but then it's the things that I'm starting to ask: the digital, the cartridges. Where is it going to come from? Like, to me, if it is cartridges, thank God. You know what happens when your cartridge won't load? That's what you do to a cartridge that won't load. You don't have to
You
do
ruin
all
it
this.
further by blowing on it.
Yeah, you just, oh man, let's blow on this thing and put it back in. It worked. Yeah. That was every freaking Nintendo 64 cartridge in the history of cartridges. Atari.
That's why there are people now when they buy their collectors, like when they go to like places like Game Over and they pick up a Nintendo cartridge, they take it home and immediately just take a fucking cotton swab and alcohol and just go through and just clean all that shit out just to get all the fucking like the years and years of people blowing in that goddamn cartridge out of there.
Oh yeah,
Which
you
would
know.
actually work a hell of a lot better than blowing on the cartridge because then you'd clean the crud off of it that's causing the problem.
Yeah, no man, everybody did that. Everybody did
I
that.
know they did. I did it back in the day too.
Everybody did. There's not any person said, I never blew in a cartridge. You are a fucking liar, and the truth is not in you. Okay, you blew a cartridge at one point in your life. Okay, so I'm looking at this thing. I think I'm excited for what we saw, but there was some other big news today. Red Dead Redemption 2. Now, let's be honest. Rockstar knows how to make great games that suck people in.
Yeah.
They do. Now, here's the thing that I'll say about this. If you think about how expansive and massive and big Grand Theft Auto 5 was, I want you to stop for a minute and think that wasn't really made for the Xbox One or the PS4 or PC. They really made that for last gen. That was a PS3 360 game, and it ended up coming out on these systems. It wasn't built from the ground up for Gen 4 systems and PC.
I'm pretty sure it was built from the ground up for PC because I can make
they took
my
their time
computer
with that
hurt
one.
with that game.
Yeah, they took their time with the PC and taking the extra year, it's gorgeous. I've noticed now, when they announced this one, this is the first game Rockstar built for Gen 4 consoles from the freaking ground up on Gen 4 hardware. When I looked at those expanses I was like, wow.
But you're saying Gen 4 hardware, but Gen 4 hardware is just shitty laptop hardware from PCs from a few years ago.
Whatever the fuck, it is still Gen 4 hardware.
Gen 4 hardware is just PC hardware.
Yeah. But now, I noticed they haven't announced PC, and that was the first thing everybody said, well, they haven't announced PC. I said, they're probably not going to announce PC until another year after the game's been out, and it's still going to be better than it's going to look great. It'll be great and
I don't
amazing.
think that they're going to do it.
You don't think they'll do a PC version of this?
Nope, they never did a PC version of the original either. They're not going to do a PC version of this game. They're considering this game just a console-only game, and it's a big fucking fault of that they should not be releasing a console-only title at this point at all.
They're losing money.
They're leaving a third. If you want to think about it this way, even if Rocksteady doesn't start developing for the Switch at all, and they only develop for PC and PS4 and Xbox One, they're leaving a third of the money on the table. A third.
No,
And
if there are four big ones out there, there's a quarter of money that you've left out there. If you say, "Hey, I'm never going to do anything for the Switch," well, there's a quarter of the money you could have made. So when you make a game like this, and then you say, "Well, we're making it for the Xbox One and the PS4," I'm like, do you not see the money that Steam generates?
Yeah,
You're not going to just go look at your
know.
sales figures on Steam for Grand Theft Auto 5 when it was in the top 5 selling games. Hell, it locked up number 1 for a few months when it came out.
Yeah.
And so that's a lot of money that we're like, we don't need that PC money. I don't know if you're right on this one. I cannot say, hey, they're not going to do a PC game. Most people, let's be honest, you've seen this. Most people are getting away from the whole thing of we're exclusive. They'll do timed exclusives, but they will not stay exclusive to one system because they're losing money. Nobody is in the business to lose money. They're all wanting everybody. If we can sell it to everybody, we want everybody to buy it.
Put it this way. In less than a month after the game's release on PC, they sold 2 million copies.
on PC of Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah, and this is in 2015 when they did this. And that's just the first month. That's not even actual numbers from further on down the line. Like, let's go look at Steam Spy for that game, I think.
I'm going to do something. I want you to think about this. If we just took 2 million sales at $60, that's 120 million before we start working on taxes. $120 million generated. $60 at 2 million copies, 120 million. Who leaves 120 million in the market and says no?
The game has 1.4 million players online playing in the last 2 weeks alone on PC.
Who leaves that kind of money on the table?
I'm
telling you right now, you're wrong on this one. They're coming with a PC version.
Let's see. They have sold, according to Steam Spy, 5.6 million copies on PC alone. That's 5.6 million copies. Let's say even if Red Dead does that number in sales on PC alone, at $60, that is a fucking swimming pool full of money that would make Scrooge McDuck's dick hard.
Bro, I'll break it down. We'll do that's 5,600,000 at $60. That is $336 million. Mm-hmm. You know what you do with $336 million? You take your fucking time making a game. Think about this one. That game's been in development for 6 or 7 years.
If they were going to release it on PC, they would have announced it, and then they would have announced that it was going to come out a year later. It's exactly what they did with GTA 5. That's what they did.
Fuck, it's hard to argue that one. I'm sitting here thinking they did say it's not launching with PC, but it will eventually come to PC. I don't know, man. I just can't see you leaving. We just did the math. We're not even their economic forecasters, but we just did the math. Who leaves $336 million out on the table and says, nah?
And that's the thing, too, is like we're just counting sales of the game. We're not counting all of that stupid fucking fake money that people bought in that game in the online section.
They've already registered Red Dead Online. It's already been registered. They filed a trademark for it, which tells me we're going to be able to go on the Westerns and hold Heist online.
Yep.
Come on, man.
We're going to be able to swipe money from that train on horses with all of your friends.
Bro, there's no... Look, I don't know a lot of things, and I've never managed a billion-dollar corporation. But when I was for GameStop, I managed $2 million worth of inventory. And I promise you right now, I didn't care if you were black, white. I had a white guy that came to my store that had white power tattoos on him. And I sold him everything he fucking wanted in that store. You know why? Because his fucking money was green. I didn't care what he thought about me as a person, but I did care that he paid cash. And I don't know what company in these day and age says, we don't care about $336 million. We don't need it. Who doesn't need that?
I don't know. Titanfall could have made a fuckload of more money if it would have released on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
And what is it doing this time?
They still didn't release it on PlayStation 4.
Yeah, but what is it doing? Now they're like, we're not getting locked into these exclusives. We lose money. Yeah. Everybody has said it. Rockstar said they lost so much money when they did that whole thing when they were
games like Uncharted who have never been released on anything but the PlayStation.
Yeah, and they're locked up. They're never coming off of it. They're never, because they got bought up. Like, who was that other company that just did that too?
Because companies don't care about leaving money on the table.
That's crazy. That's why I had the sad news today of another company closing. United Fronts they closed their doors.
Was that the people who made the Red Faction series?
No, they were the ones that did. United Front, I know, did that Mod Nation Racers for the PS3. That was an exclusive. Then they came out and did Sleeping Dogs, which did really well.
Okay, yeah. No, I remember now.
And then they had that one game that's on Steam right now.
By the way, the guys who did make Red Faction are gone now too.
They're what?
They're gone. Their studio's closed. The property's up for sale.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Red Faction was a really I enjoyed
Red
that.
Faction was
it
one of those
bad.
games,
it was just like it wasn't amazing.
Red Faction was one of those games that was like a cult B movie of games.
Right.
Like they were never amazing. They were never breathtaking. They were never like, I've got to play this fucking game right now.
But when you played it, you loved it.
They always sold well.
Yeah, I've never played a Red Faction game that I really didn't enjoy. Man, I don't get this, man. Okay, but getting away from just sales figures, we're getting off the track here. Red Dead Redemption 2. You don't think it's coming to PC
No.
at all?
And to be honest, I don't really care.
It actually saddens me.
If Rockstar actually released the first one and the second one on PC at the same time, as like they remastered the first
Like
one,
a
and then-
bundle pack or something?
like a bundle pack, and they released both of them on PC, I'd buy them, I'd play them. But I'm not going to pine over the loss of them because I don't really feel a loss because I've never fucking played them before.
Yeah.
Because they've never given me the option to play them the way that I want to play them.
Well, hell, let's be honest, man. Most people didn't play the first one. Like, what kills me is when people are like, man, Red Dead Redemption was the great first game. And I was like, bitch, what about Red Dead Revolver? Did you not play that? There was a game before this one. Poor Capcom. This is one time where Capcom lost out. Their whole history is about we lost out. But that was a Capcom game. Red Dead Revolver started as a Capcom game on Gen 2 systems, PS2 and Xbox. And then Red Dead Redemption comes around, and it's so much better than the original. It is so much better than the original.
Rockstar seems to do that a lot. They buy properties from other companies and then they make a sequel to that game. Like they did the same thing with Max Payne. Max Payne 1 and 2 were made by Remedy.
Right.
Remedy's the same studio that made Quantum Break and Alan Wake. And Rockstar bought that game, and then they
Gave us
made
Max
a
Payne 3.
Max Payne 3, which I fucking hated.
You hated Max Payne 3?
It didn't have the responsiveness and the in the gunplay that the original two games from Remedy had.
Yeah.
They made it so that you had to deal with like the direction your character's feet were in when you were actually like moving. So you would like if you moved backward or leaned left and you were moving right, you would have to wait for the weight to shift of your character and then the actual action to start taking place. So it didn't have the responsiveness that it should have, and it just didn't feel right.
I love that story, though. That story in Max Payne 3 was so good.
I maybe got like, I don't know, an hour or two into it before
No,
I got so annoyed with it that I just stopped playing.
I beat it for the story. I'm a Max Payne fan.
Yeah.
So I had
love
to get
1
the
and
story.
2.
Yeah.
They're fucking great games.
I had to get the story, and the story did not let me down. It was a great story. But I can't sit here and say, oh, hey, it was the same great. It was good gameplay. It was good.
They took Max Payne, and instead of using the same engine that they were using at Remedy, they retooled their engine, which is the same engine that you get in Red Dead Redemption, the same engine that you get in GTA. They used that same engine, but they tried to make it do Max Payne things. Mm-hmm. And that meshing of those two parts just didn't click for me.
Yeah, that's going to be, man. God, man, I'm really kind of, my mind is blown. I think you can see it in my face. I was just sitting here thinking about this whole time. They nailed it when they came to PC with Grand Theft Auto 5. Yeah. They nailed that.
And
but
I'm glad
I just
waited.
don't think that I just don't see how they would be able to go, we're not going to do this game on PC. It's mystifying. I mean, I get some games don't go to PC anymore. And I get some games will never go to the console. They will always be PC games. And I get that some games work better on certain devices better than it is others, but still, just in sales figures and numbers alone, that's a shocking number to walk away from, man.
That's the entire development budget for a AAA title. And
Yeah.
then on top of that, they're going to throw online and they're going to throw microtransactions. And you know
And
they're
they
going to fucking do
killed
both
it
of
in
them.
microtransactions.
So, I mean, it's a fuckload of money. It's just a fuckload of money. And it's seriously ridiculous that they're not going to release it on PC. But, I mean, maybe they will. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Red Dead will release, and then after it releases, they'll be like, coming to PC and blah, 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 blah.
All I noticed when they showed the thing, pre-orders now. As soon as I saw it, pre-order now, coming fall 2017, I was like, GameStop website is about to fucking break. Because that shit went bananas this morning when I saw that trailer. I said, I know that's about to... GameStop's not ready for that. I'm still going to wait a week. I want to see if there's a collector's edition before I make any jumps or moves. I just want to see.
Let's move to things that have already come out.
Oh my God. Are we about to talk about the game that has you pissed off? That
Yes.
deep breath you just took. So, okay, let me now make sure I got this. Shadow Warrior 2?
Yeah, so Shadow Warrior, the original game, was released, I think, in like 96
Right.
by 3D Realms. It was a build engine game. It was made. It's kind of like an 80s parody action movie hero story. The original game was pretty racist. If you go back and look at it, go back and play it. But it was still fun. The humor was it was basically like Duke Nukem, but with a
With an Asian guy named Lo Wang.
with an Asian guy named Lo Wang with an Asian skin on it. So fast forward, 3D Realms explodes. Another company called Flying Wild Hog comes along. They decide that they want to do a sequel to, not a sequel, but they want to reboot the franchise. So they talk to George Boussard, the guy who still technically owns 3D Realms, who still owns all the properties. Shadow Warrior's for sale. They buy it. They make Shadow Warrior, which one of the first PC games to ever come out on consoles that actually had a video options menu where you could dynamically change the video options for the game to make it run better if you wanted to. There's a first. Mm-hmm. So they have this great engine that's called the Roadhog engine. The engine is amazing. The Shadow Warrior reboot is amazing. From start to finish, one of the best first-person shooters I've ever fucking played. Incredible sword play, magic powers, big fucking weapons, meaty gunplay, like everything that you want in a first-person shooter.
Right.
That came out in 2013. They go back to the drawing board. They decide they're going to do Shadow Warrior 2.
Right.
So we have this genre that Borderlands created that's called the looter shooter, where it's basically a first-person Diablo 3 where all of the loot is randomly generated, and there's different like types of resists that the mobs can have, and there's different types of weapons that defeat those different types of resists, and vice versa. So somewhere in the development of Shadow Warrior 2, it almost seems like it was kind of like a last-minute thing. They decided that they wanted to put in 4-player co-op and turn Borderlands into Borderwangs. This is what I like to call it now.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it badly.
You really didn't like this?
I mean, I loved the humor. And like everything is just 80s action movie cheese. Tropes on purpose. Like bad dialogue, but the kind of bad dialogue that's funny. So the storyline is good. The gunplay is good. The like all the beats that they had in the first game were are really good in this. But then they drop this loot system and these shitty randomly generated levels into the middle of the mix, and it just fucks everything up.
Now here's the thing. You were pretty much like so happy yet so pissed by this game is how you described it to me.
Pretty much.
So I just wanted to bring this to you. Now, IGN, and I know, not saying whether you agree with IGN or not, they gave it an 8.6 out of 10. It's GameSpot gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
Game Revolution gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's Metacritic 78 out of 100.
Yeah.
So we started looking at some of the good and we see some of the shine. I saw a lot of people say what you said. Okay. But a lot of people thought, hey, it's fun. It does have that B-movie dialogue. And that's what a lot of people kept saying. His wisecracks made me smile through it.
Yeah.
But it's not a lot of randomization.
So you have two different kinds of missions. You have side missions and you have main story quests. Mm-hmm. And by the way, this is a first-person shooter where you pick up quests. So again, a looter shooter. There are only about, I believe, 90 different weapons in the game.
Right.
And each weapon is unique, and each one of them has unique fire and reload animations. So there's a lot of work there. But they saddled these 90 weapons with a gem system where you have 3 gem slots, and you can take the gems out and put them in, and there's no penalty. So you can take the gems out; they don't get destroyed. You can use them in another weapon. You can do this anywhere in the game, so it's not like you have to go back to the base and fix them and then go back out again. And there's 4 resistances. There's fire, frost, electricity, and acid. Those are the 4 different elements that are in the game. So you'll come against enemies that will be weak to electricity but have frost resistance, or weak to frost but have fire resistance.
Right.
So the challenge then becomes, you could literally like scout out a group of enemies from Vanish, find out what their resists are, run away from them to a part of the map where there's nothing going to be nothing that's going to attack you. Hit escape, go into your inventory, switch out all your gems on all of your things to defeat that particular resist. Go back and shoot that boss in the face in like 2 hits and destroy him. And you could do that for every fucking fight in the game. What the fuck is the point of having this elemental system if there's nothing to curtail the usage of your gems? Why do you even have different weapons if by the end of the game you get a sword that's so fucking powerful that it does ranged attacks and it does melee attacks? And since you can re-gem it, you literally could just use that one weapon the whole game and just re-gem it for every fight. Like, why do you even need 90 weapons? There's no... there's like a distinct lack of design in the game. And the main story missions are exquisitely built sets that you go through from one place to another, from A to B. There's no like running around or anything like that. They're actual story missions, like the way that story missions were built in the first game. And then the side missions are in randomly generated territories. There's 3 different tile sets. There's like a hell tile set. There's a cityscape tile set, which is like a cyberpunk tile set. And then there's just like just a regular city tile set, and then a country tile set. Those are kind of the main tile sets that you run into. And within them, they're very sparsely populated. So if you're not actually on a mission in that area and you're just in quote unquote free roam mode, you're maybe going to run into 3 packs of mobs in a like 5 or 10 square mile area, if you're lucky. And then on top of that, they put in all of these chests that are randomly populated within the map. And sometimes you can run into an area where you have 4, 5, 7 chests all just laying around right next to each other, because that's where the randomly generated map puts you. And you have to pick up all of the ammo, otherwise you're going to run out of ammo while you're doing things. They literally just pour gems on you in the game. Like, everything that you kill has some form of gem on it, whether it be a gray, a blue, a yellow, or an orange gem. Those are like the 4 color gradient from worst to best. They have no way for you to actually easily deal with getting rid of these gems. Like, you can't just go like select here, scroll down, hold shift, select the other one, select all of those at once, and then vendor them all automatically. You either have
to sell them all.
You have to sell them all individually, one at a time, or as you pick them up, you have to stop and jump into your inventory. And once you get into your inventory, you have to mark them as junk. And then when you get back to the vendor, you can sell them all with one click. But you still have to go through the motions, regardless of whatever you do, to mark them all to get rid of them. There's a crafting system, but it's completely random. You just go and put 3 things in and hit the button and hope you get something better than what you got. So you could take 3 whites and turn them into a blue, 3 blues and turn them into a yellow, 3 yellows and turn them into an orange. And then you can literally go and take all of your oranges and combine them together until you only have 1 fucking item left. And it's all randomly generated, and the percentages on them don't change. Like, they're like, one will be 0.5 and it'll be a level 45 gem, and the next one that's level 46 will be 0.51, 0.52, 0.53. Like, there's no significance to what you pick up. And there's 4 or 5 different gem types. There's types that modify your weapons to add more damage to them.
Right.
There's ones that add the different resist damages to them. There's ones that modify the actual workings of the gun that'll turn the gun into a turret or allow you to do dual wielding or all these things, but they're all restrictive. So, like, only some guns can be dual wielded, other guns can't. And you don't know what can be managed how just by looking at them. And the naming scheme, like usually in an MMO or something like Diablo, or even in Borderlands, you have specific key indicators in the name that tell you exactly what that thing is just at a glance. I know that one has frost resist. I know that one has acid. I know this one does this. They have like 4 or 5 different names for each type, and none of them are consistent. So like one will be like something of haste, and the next one will be of speed, and the next one will be of quickness, and they all do exactly the same thing, but they have different names. It's like I said, it almost feels like they were gonna just do a straight sequel, and then they decided they wanted to do co-op. And then when they decided they wanted to do co-op, they were like, well, let's just make it like Borderlands. And then they threw together a rudimentary system that works sort of like the way that Borderlands works, but is nowhere near as robust or explanatory as to what it's doing or what it's going on. And all it does is serve to turn enemies into bullet sponges and to waste your time standing around fucking regimming everything. So, I mean, my friend Mike, me and him have been playing it. That's what we've been doing for the last like week or so, is just playing the game together and going through it. He still hasn't beaten it. I have beaten it. For him, he has 4 melee weapons that all have all the different resist types on them. Mm-hmm. And then each one of them has a vampiric gem in it that drains life from the target. And then he just switches between those whenever he gets into fights. He never uses any ranged weapons at all. And then I just kind of do whatever the fuck I want to. I'll gem whatever I want to gem. And then sometimes I don't even care. If something has a resist on it that my blade doesn't like chop through easily, I still have frost resist on, and I've got enough points in some of the other skills that kill the enemy's resistance to my attacks enough that it doesn't matter. I don't even need to switch. I just have this one sword that chops really well and does some range damage, so if I need to get away from something, I can get away from it and still kill it. And it does enough ice damage that it freezes the target. So even though it's a fucking bullet sponge, it can't move half the fucking time anyway, even if it resists frost.
Yeah, I'm going to have to skip this one. It's one of those games like, I didn't do the first Shadow Warrior, and I saw it when it rebooted, but I was just like, I'm not trying.
Play the first one.
It's I really have kind of got tired of shooters, though. That's part of my problem. Yeah. And so, I did like Raw Data.
Yeah.
I loved it. It was fun.
But that's an entirely different bag. Like,
yeah,
that's VR.
And that was pretty much probably the only shooter I've enjoyed. Like, I'm going to spend some time in Battlefield 1. What I saw you playing on your PC today looked gorgeous.
Yeah.
I know I'm going to enjoy the story. As a veteran, I'm probably going to be a little too emotionally involved in the story.
Yeah.
And so that's part of why I don't play shooters. The longer I'm out of the military, I don't really like shooters a lot, man, because, I got a combat action pen for actually doing it in real life. And so when Joe Blow plays a shooter, he's having fun. When Roderick plays a shooter, he might be reliving some shit. And he may not have the same experience. Yeah. I can tell you this story. One of my favorite shooters, EA did it, were the Medal of Honor reboots. Okay. Yeah. But I was a Desert Storm vet, and those games got a little, when I say they nailed it, they freaking nailed it. There's stuff that they did in there. Like, there's a part in the second one, I think it's the Advanced Warfighter, where they're fighting on that hill and the Kurdish, rebels are coming down on them.
Yeah.
And as they're, those rebels are coming down on them, you hear them say, hey, man, just tell my family I loved them. I don't think we're making it out of here. Bro, and I was tensed out. Like, I seriously went to a place playing that, and I like, my fist was balled up, my hands were hurting, my arm hurt because I was so tensed up during that gunfight and trying to keep my guys alive until that helicopter comes up on the hill. And I was like, I seriously, once I got through with that level, I turned the game off for 2 days. I was in a really dark place.
Yeah,
I had to walk away from that one. So it's personally one of my favorite games for different reasons. I see the same thing about to happen with Battlefield 1, and I love it when you get the story right. I think Black Ops, another one, I love the story. It was, it was more of like, hey, this is a Rambo movie made into a video game, but I really love the story, and it's putting me through some things. I'm going to just be honest with you. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. I may pick it up and try it. Do you already have it on your Steam account?
Yeah, I've got Shadow Warrior 1 and 2. Or I've got the reboot. I've got the original game, and I have the reboot, and I have the sequel to the reboot. They're silly, over the top action 80s hero
Duke Nukem
ROMs. Like
Duke Nukem-ish.
They're Duke Nukem-ish. The weapons are like way overblown and ridiculous, and the enemies are pretty much all demons or just like Yakuza. Like the kind of people you'd want to kill anybody. In other words.
Yeah, okay.
And the demons are silly. Like my favorite thing about the original game was there were bunnies in it, and the bunnies would like hop around and they would fuck each other. And if you shot the bunnies enough, eventually one of them would turn into the rabbit from Quest for the Holy Grail. It would like jump at you and try to attack you and kill you. You'd have to kill the rabbit. Well, they kind of took that and like turned it up a notch in this game. So in the original, or in the 2013 reboot, they made it a bigger bunny that would like attack you and was really vicious, but it was small enough that it was hard to hit and it had a lot of health. In this one, they went full on fucking the demon bunny lord fucking pops out with gigantic fucking ears and huge fangs and like tries to kill you. It's fucking hilarious.
Oh, gosh.
It's one of the best parts of the fucking game.
I may have to throw it in there. It's one of those games where it's like you get a recommendation and you say, yeah, I don't want to, but I'm going to. Okay. All right, man. I think we covered a lot today, man, for us to be exhausted. Man, this is hard. This was a hard one. I know you're going out of town this weekend.
Yep.
I will be... I'm going to be busy this weekend, my dang self, man. Got a daughter about to bust out. Grandkid number 5 and the second girl, and Crunch Time's owner. So I may go see them this weekend. I'm not decided yet. I may sleep this weekend if she doesn't go into labor, and I may have to go leave next weekend. So our next couple weekends are going to be touch and go.
Yeah.
If I do have to leave town, we can always try to bring somebody like Jay Digg or Nick in for me, man. But we got to do something, man.
We'll figure it out.
I tell you what I want to do. And if he's listening to this episode, we've been trying to get this guy on here for a while. He says he needs to out me on the show about anime. We need to get Belly in here. We're going to get Adrian Oliva in here in the next few weeks. Got some questions he's upset about something I said. Very upset about something I said. He said I outed him. And he said, hey, bitch, and you lied. I said, I didn't lie about you. He said, I didn't lie about you. You didn't lie about me. I'm a man enough to say you didn't lie about me. You lied about yourself. So he said he's going to out me on the show. We will be getting him in here, man.
We'll figure out what it is.
Yeah, we got to get this guy in here. I gotta know what dirt he's got on me. All right, so cool. Man, I've had a blast, bro. I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'll probably see you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel. Guys, we appreciate you listening to us. Thank you for the emails we've been getting in. I'm still getting emails from people about our show at DICE and Battlefield. And we may need to air that show again in honor of those guys because the game is now officially out.
Yeah.
All right. And I got to get some time on that game, man. I may try to... It may be Sunday. I may just lock myself in my room for a few hours and I'll go into the dungeon at Le Manor McDaniel and just throw down on it for a little while just to get a review of it.
Yeah.
But it's hard to get gaming time in, man. Naps are starting to look so much better the closer I get to Christmas and Thanksgiving. All right. Brother, well, it's been real. Everybody, thank you for listening, and we'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for listening to the Team Lift Podcast with your hosts, Brendan Bowie and Roderick McDaniel. Join us again next week as we discuss more topics from geek culture. Be sure to follow us on our Twitter page at GoTeamLift, as well as our personal pages at Coach Silky and at Thighside. You can direct questions or comments to us on our Twitter page, as well as find links to all of our social media outlets. Thank you for listening. See you again next week.